how a GIS professional can become a WebGIS developer in 90 days, okay? A confident one. Most probably, yeah, you guys have gone through a couple of tutorials and yeah, sometimes they really suck. Sometimes, yeah, you get fragments, you get pieces and bits and bobs here. You just want to put this whole thing together, okay? This is the problem of many tutorials, that they show you something here, something there. In the end, it's not totally clear, like how do I put this all together? Also, yeah, many GIS professionals, let me make this a little bit bigger for you guys here. Yeah. Like many GIS professionals, okay, they reach a point where they kind of feel stuck, not just with WebGIS development or how to learn this really, but more with like, hey, okay, I've done GIS, it's cool, making maps, static maps, doing analysis, that's nice, but I actually want a bit of more here. And then, yeah, you're making maps, as I told you, creating reports, maybe run analysis in ArcGIS Pro, QGIS, and then start wondering, hey, is this really all there is? Okay. And of course, WebGIS development can change this for you. Okay. So that you can really, yeah, create interactive applications. So instead of producing static outputs, you can build interactive applications people actually use. Okay. And it's solving a real world problem for them. Okay. Not just putting a chart in the table somewhere here, somewhere there. That's great. That's cool for learning quickly something. But of course, in the end, you want to, yeah, provide people with insights, okay, with solutions, basically. Now, the problem is that most GIS professionals, they get overwhelmed a lot by the technology stack, okay? Every one of us, okay? No one is born like, hey, I know exactly what should I learn and stuff like that. Okay, so there's a lot of, yeah, information outside there on LinkedIn and everywhere, like learn this, learn that, and in the end, it's like, hey, where should I actually start with all of this stuff? Okay, so too many tools, too many tutorials, too many opinions, basically. And the truth, yeah, the truth is way simpler. Okay, so if I had to become a WebGIS developer again while working a full-time job, even, okay, I would follow exactly the roadmap that I'm showing you. It's a 90-day roadmap that you can follow even next to your job with, let's say, yeah, maybe 30 minutes, 45 minutes, okay, a day. So let's get into phase one. What is that? Day 0 to day 30, okay, front-end fundamentals. This is usually what we do with our students. This is basically what I've done as well, okay? So your goal is the first phase, or the first phase is simple, okay? Understand how WebGIS works in the browser. Okay, like WebGIS applications, usually they run in the browser, all right? You give people a URL and they see that applications, and then become comfortable reading and writing the code that you want. Of course, yep, these days, of course, we have AI there, but still, it's great when you understand how to understand this code, because AI fails here and there and it's creating bugs and stuff like that, that you can easily fix them, okay? This is the cool stuff today as well. So every WebGIS application relies basically on three core technologies, okay, regarding the front end, like the stuff that you see in the browser. And there is basically only HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. You might think like, hey, what is about all these libraries, all of this React and Vue and Angular and stuff like that? Yeah, they rely on HTML, CSS, and JavaScript as well. Okay. Of course, they're cool, these frameworks. They will speed your process up. They make a couple of things more convenient for you, but basically it's HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Okay. And if you understand these three guys, okay, and I will show you what you just need to learn here, what you just need to understand, then you can actually go everywhere with this. Okay, even React will become suddenly, yeah, it will make sense. It will become even simple for you. Okay, even WebGIS libraries. And how, I will explain you in the next few minutes. So basically, these are the fundamentals behind every framework, behind every mapping library. Okay, all of this, they rely on these three things here: HTML, CSS and JavaScript. Okay, so you only need to understand a few key concepts here actually. Okay, so what is that in HTML? Okay, basically HTML is, yeah, learn how web pages are structured. Okay, so you want you give basically, yeah, it's the building blocks, let's say. Okay, like, and what you just have to focus on is on the page sections. Like you have a header, something in the top. If you look at my image here, something in the top. You have a main area, okay, where maybe your map is, or information, like if you have a story application or something like that, story maps. And yeah, it can be a sidebar, there can be a footer, stuff like that. Okay, that's basically these page sections. Okay, often, yeah, referred to div, like containers simply, and these days even they exist in header, mains, footer, and stuff like that. Okay, but they do basically all the same thing, just for their semantic, so for their meaning, simply people like to use header, main, and footer. Okay, even sidebar and stuff. Then you want to understand how you put, of course, text inside, like with paragraphs, for example, links and images. Okay, then tables, especially very useful for our GIS data. And you want to understand input fields, like where people can, yeah, do inputs. Okay, like maybe, and also maybe, yeah, how to do a list. Okay, simple list, like bullet points. Okay, that's everything that you need here in HTML. Okay, and it will repeat all of the time. And then, okay, you have HTML gives you that blocks, okay, that building elements. Okay, often, to be honest, they look extremely shit in HTML. People, it's not nice. Okay, so with that, you want to use CSS. Okay, stands for Cascading Style Sheet, basically. And there you want to understand, or with this you want to understand how to style. Okay, and maybe, yeah, make a more advanced layout. Okay, and advanced doesn't mean like, hey, you have to study this like crazy, and there's I don't know, you need 100 explanations on finally that you can learn it. It's actually go through this shit one by one. Okay, understand how to position your elements, do layouts, for example, with Flexbox or the grid system. That's it. And understand how to, yeah, or simple, how to build simple user interface. Okay, and how to style them with coloring, setting the fonts and stuff like that. And that's everything. Okay, that's basically everything that you need there. Then, of course, yeah, JavaScript. Okay, so this is the backbone of a WebGIS. With HTML and CSS, we do the styling. It's basically how the web page looks, how your web application looks. Okay, a WebGIS application is nothing else than a web page, okay, that has the elements from HTML, is styled with CSS, and eventually you need JavaScript for the interactions, okay? Because HTML, even if you put a button inside and you click on that, actually nothing happens. You can click on the button, nothing happens. You need JavaScript so that something actually happens. Like a function is executed, that whatever the person typed into a text field, that this is taken by JavaScript and is sent maybe to the server side even there, okay? And there's a script that takes like a where clause, for example, that the user has typed in the front end. This where clause is executed on a database in this on the server side, of course, and yeah, the database will give a result, and you send this to the front end. You will take it with your JavaScript again, create a table on yeah, of that data, create or put that data on a map. Okay, this is where JavaScript comes inside there to make stuff interactive, to create, yeah, the functions that people eventually need to, yeah, get the insights. Okay, so and you need only about 10-15 core concepts, elements, okay, including basically variables and data types, which are simply numbers, strings. I also put like arrays usually inside that one. Then you want to understand JavaScript objects, okay, functions, conditions, and loops. You want to understand modules, okay, so external JavaScript files here. I will actually put this a little bit apart here. I don't know if I can put inside here. No, not right now. So basically, this is not exactly in the order. The objects they should come here after the conditions and loops, okay? Because objects basically, like for example, a map eventually, or a feature layer, or even a chart or something like that, okay? They're objects in programming, and they have usually properties, okay? Like for example, if you have a human in walking mode, the human has properties like what is the size, what is the hair color, what is, I don't know, the language, I don't know, maybe the address and stuff like that. And it can be like functions, which we call methods simply, okay? And it's for human, it's maybe, yeah, yeah, that the human can walk, that the human can talk, that the human can give a presentation, can play football, can play soccer or whatever, okay? And this is basically what you want to understand. And this is basically everything that you need, like the fetch request, okay? This is the part, this is actually the backbone, the most important thing here, that you can actually send requests to the server. Because often data, resides somewhere in a database or in the server, like simply as a file and stuff. And with this fetch function, okay, or fetch is basically a function in JavaScript, but then you can send a request to a server, okay, by simply, yeah, directing that to a script that's on the server, okay, and usually the script will take care of, yeah, whatever it says can do for you, okay. Sometimes it's simply, hey, requesting data from a database, or yeah, giving you a part of your feature layer, okay, like the features of your feature layer, doing queries on it and stuff like that. Okay, this is what this script does. And of course, you need a documentation like for the script, for the functionalities, like, hey, what parameters should go inside, what data should you provide that it can produce a sense-making result. Okay, and then you get this back, and you take this stuff with your JavaScript, put it on the map, create a table and stuff like that, create a chart and so on. Okay, so that you can give real insights to people. And of course, you want to understand debugging. Okay, debugging, one of the most important parts here is basically when I click here F12, you see, then my browser crashes. Okay, here I'm back again. For example, when you go here to the source, can open some source code file. Let me see if we can find something with .js, API.js, something like that. And the breakpoint is usually these kinds of stuff here. Okay, that you put that in your code. The cool thing is whenever this code is executed, it will stop there. You can hover over your variables, see what's inside, and yeah, that you can evaluate your code, understand if exactly the thing is happening in your code, what you want it to do. Okay, that's it. Okay, and also the objects. Okay, like object-oriented programming, there are a couple of concepts. It's good if you have heard about them, that you can understand what they are. Okay, you don't need to go very deep in the beginning, just that you understand, okay, that you have an object and this has properties and this has methods. Okay, properties are basically nothing else than variables, and these methods, they are nothing else than actually functions, and they do something specific for us. Okay, for example, again, as in a feature layer, like if you use a WebGIS library, and you have a feature layer or a GeoJSON layer or something like that, they have usually methods like functionalities that you can say, hey, add features here, remove features, query features, stuff like that. Okay, and this is basically the core where where you can go quickly and easily into WebGIS libraries now. Okay, so basically, before I go into that one, once you understand these core elements here, okay, these guys here, then you can basically read and write almost, or actually any WebGIS code, okay, because they are the foundations. Sometimes, of course, there are fancy variations where people say, hey, put these fucking 5 lines here into one line, which is totally bullshit, but people love to do that to look fancy, but you actually don't need this shit in the beginning, okay, forget about this stuff. And so what you actually want to do is just understand these core elements, and from there, yeah, you can when someone is writing everything in one line, you can quickly Google up, what is this function? Aha, it just means that. Okay, understand. Let's go to the next page. Okay, that's it. Okay, it's nothing crazy. But sometimes people, yeah, they show this kind of stuff on LinkedIn and then they think they are looking extremely fancy in front of other people, but it's actually nothing. Okay, so then I told you about the, what is this? About the objects, okay? And basically, the WebGIS libraries, they rely on objects, okay? They have objects, all of them, okay? So after you understand your basics, your fundamentals quickly in JavaScript well, and it doesn't take years to learn this. Usually our people or people in my program, they learn this in like 20 hours, okay? And then you have this together, okay? It's step by step, element by element, and then you understand the stuff. Of course, you can then use AI to speed up the whole process, but you can't finally read and write all the code yourself and fix the bugs that AI creates there, of course, and make the code, yeah, working like it actually should. Okay, so then you go into a WebGIS library. Okay, there are different things like Leaflet, MapLibre, ArcGIS Maps SDK for JavaScript, OpenLayers. And sorry, and now all of them, they simply have these objects, okay, with properties and methods. And basically, the only thing that you have to understand is how do I initialize a map with these libraries? How do I add a map? How do I add a layer into that map? How do I tweak visualizations? Maybe understand a little bit about pop-up, and how do I put a widget inside? And that's it. Okay, the widgets, you can basically, the easiest way in the beginning is simply create them with HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Okay, you don't need React and stuff like that. It's even crazy for your brain because React, you use a lot of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript eventually inside React. And I think about that, you haven't, so note here, you haven't actually learned about the fundamentals, how you want to use the more advanced stuff. Okay, it's just shit. And I know a lot of people just say, hey, yeah, just start with React, it's fine, you will get this. No, it's like you will just, yeah, it's like someone is giving you a fish, like here, eat it, but you are not able to fish yourself. Okay, this is the problem. And you will understand the stuff. They explain it to you. You guys are totally clever, but it doesn't make sense. Okay, it's like, hey, eat this fish and go, and then you want to fish yourself. I don't know, where should I throw my root and stuff like that. Okay, so it simply doesn't work. Okay. And yeah, it's simply you want to understand how to use a WebGIS library, not learning 100 examples. And yeah, you want to do something and no one has shown you how to do that. It doesn't make sense. Okay. It's basically you want to be able to find the functionalities inside a library when they exist. You're using it. If they don't exist, you are simply creating that with your own JavaScript knowledge. Okay. Even with the help of AI now, and you can even check the code if it's fine or if it's not fine. Okay. And yeah, basically, this is what I told you. So you basically need to understand a few key actions like initializing the map, adding the layer, styling the data, creating pop-ups, adding widgets. Okay, that's basically around that. So at this point, you can already build WebGIS applications. Okay, welcome, congratulations, you're a confident WebGIS developer. And I see a lot of tutorials out there on Udemy, on LinkedIn, not LinkedIn, YouTube, and so on. They show like the fundamentals. Of course, hey, I understand this. Why should I learn these fucking fundamentals? They are boring. I want to do the real stuff. Guys, I've done the same shit in the beginning, okay, and I've just wasted time with that because when you're just trying to understand the samples, and you guys can do it, of course, you guys are clever, but what you need is you need to tweak these samples often, okay? It doesn't mean don't use samples. They are great. You can speed up your workflow and everything like that, but you have to very often tweak them. You must understand in which order you have to put them inside, when they make sense, when this sample doesn't make sense, and stuff like that. Okay, and this is where you can simply go with the fundamentals. And often I see in many Udemy tutorials and stuff like that, courses, other courses, even in Harvard and stuff like that, they show a lot of like, hey, this is basically yeah, the fundamentals. Let's jump very quickly over that because yeah, we know you guys don't want to do that, but let's jump into the WebGIS libraries and then do that for 10 hours. And I show you 100 examples. Yeah, okay, cool. You understand these examples and you have had a lot of fun, most probably for sure. Okay, I had this in the beginning totally as well, but how frustrating was that when I tried to tweak the code on myself in the end after I went through these kind of tutorials. Okay, nothing worked actually. So what you actually should do is just turn this around. Okay, like what they do is they show you 20% of the fundamentals of their time, 80% of a lot of cool examples. Of course, it's nice, but what you actually need is 80% of that time simply same time. Okay, like 20 hours simply in JavaScript, and then I don't know 1-2 hours actually understanding WebGIS libraries. Okay, that's it. Nothing else. You just need to understand how do I initialize this stuff? How do I find my functions in that library? And because of you have learned the fundamentals, you can easily do that now. And then you can really create your applications, okay, and understand it and tweak even AI stuff and so on. Okay, so this is the point here. Then you want to go into the second phase. Okay, second phase is backend development for GIS. Of course, we have talked about the front end, the browser part. Now, a real application, you often want like, yeah, more powerful analysis maybe on the server, okay? And then just send the result to the front end, show it to people, okay? And this is what you actually do a lot of the times, okay? So there's always the browser side, a server side with scripts on it, and how you connect that to a database. And yeah, so second phase, backend development for WebGIS, and you want, yeah, front end, as I told you, front end applications, they display the maps, but real WebGIS systems rely eventually on a real, yeah, backend infrastructure. So this allows you to run heavier spatial analysis, store data in a database, manage user and authentication, so logins basically. So spatial data to your applications, okay? And the results basically that you have most probably done a couple of scripts in Python, like for desktop GS. Okay, you just want to put that inside of a web framework like Django, for example, and then you can serve this stuff to the front end, show the results to people there. Okay, in a real application now. It's pretty simple. So a common WebGIS backend stack includes, for me, I often go through with people like basically through Python. Okay. And yeah, this is great for spatial processing automation. So when the key libraries here are GeoPandas, GDAL, okay, and you can see that here very quickly. I show you that in my community. If you're not in that yet for any reason, just type in school.com WebGIS and join us there. So basically, what we do here is we go through this stuff. Okay, so we have talked about this one here, browser side, WebGIS libraries. Now we talk about the server side. Okay, let's make this a little bit bigger here. So basically server side, Python GeoPandas. Okay, it's basically GIS desktop programming. How do you connect this finally with the browser side? So with 2 and 3, simply with a web framework. Okay, so you put your script basically into Django, and then you can, yeah, get request with JavaScript there with the fetch function. Okay, there's your Python script. It will do the analysis, and you will send it back to your JavaScript to the fetch function. Okay, or it goes basically back there. You take the result. It's often you can send it as a GeoJSON, a JSON, a CSV, as a text, whatever you want to send. Okay, it's totally up to you. Usually, I would suggest using a GeoJSON. Of course, when we work with GIS data, that's pretty cool and easy. And then you take this with JavaScript, and then you put this on a map. Okay, so basically, that's how it works. And of course, pretty strong libraries there are GeoPandas, GDAL, and that's basically it. So these allow you to process spatial data programmatically. Okay, so you can simply take the stuff that you have already created and then, create final WebGIS application out of this. Okay, so spatial database. Okay, professional WebGIS systems, they store a lot of data in a database very often. So the most common step is PostGIS. Okay, this allows you, to store large spatial data sets. Okay, run spatial data queries and efficiently serve data to your web application eventually. Okay, that's basically it. So, and then you have a web framework. You need to put a web framework in between that. Okay, so basically it's to connect the browser and the database. You cannot send directly requests to a database. Okay, there's something like, it's called PostgREST, something like this. Okay, it's like a REST API for a PostgreSQL PostGIS database. It's pretty cool, but still, you're actually not sending a request directly to a database. It's actually that there's a script, or there are some scripts now from PostgreSQL that you can send your request at, and these scripts will actually query the database and then will send you the result. Okay, and this is also what you can, of course, produce for yourself to make this totally unlimited here. Okay, that you can actually produce everything for people that you want to. Exactly, and these web frameworks, again, they connect the browser and the database very often, or even just files that you have on your server. Okay, and yeah, you can use frameworks like Django, GeoDjango. Okay, so this act then as the middle layer here. You can receive the request from the browser, process the data, query the database, send the results back to the front end. Okay, this is basically the workflow that happens 99% of the time here. Okay, and yeah, even ArcGIS Online, GeoServer and stuff, they do exactly that all of the time. Okay, maybe not with Django or GeoDjango. Sometimes they use Node.js, or they use something like Visual C#.net, something like that. Okay, or Java. Okay, so a lot of possibilities here. Or even PHP, some of them. But this is getting less and less. So, and then let's recap this quickly. Basically, you had phase one. Okay, let's roll up very quickly. Front-end fundamentals. Okay, that will allow you to become a confident WebGIS developer, sitting in front of a hiring manager or project giver for freelancing people. You can sit in front of them confidently, tell them, hey, whatever you need, I can program this for you now. Okay, this is what it does for you. Phase two, at the backend, so that you can create the full system, full architectures, okay, that you understand absolutely how the components fit together here. And phase three, finally, is build a real world WebGIS application. Okay, what does it mean building a real world WebGIS application? Often in tutorials, they will give you, hey, just put a chart here, put a pop-up there, a little table here, maybe do some routing there. But this is nothing. This is actually not a real world problem solved there. Okay, what actually hiring managers want to see is that you can, or also, freelancing project givers, they want to see that you have solved something real and not just have created a tutorial application. Okay, so in this phase number three, you're now able to combine everything and build something real. Okay, that you have learned from phase two, or one and two. So now you want to choose a problem you care about, okay, or something useful that you maybe already do at your job. Okay, and the best thing is when you solve a real world problem. In our program, we help people with that, either if you work on something real or you have a specific field that you know, hey, I want to create solutions for real people here. And as long as there are problems in this world, and there are always problems, even when there are new technologies, even with new technologies, new problems arise. then there will be, or people need new solutions. Okay, so as long as this is the case, and I don't see that this ever change or will ever change, as long as that exists, people will need solutions. Okay, real WebGIS applications eventually. Okay, so examples, okay, like an inspection system, like in the set management system, of course, a routing application, like for example, for logistic companies where you route them around severe weather and stuff like that, yeah, if they transport food, that it doesn't get wasted. Okay, so solving a real problem. Infrastructure dashboards, okay, environmental monitoring tools, okay, parcel viewers, okay, for real estate companies, that they understand, hey, which parcel should we actually care about here? Which should we maybe even buy or not? Where will we use actually, or where will we lose money? Because there's a lot of toxic stuff on that parcel here, or we shouldn't buy it because I don't know, some or very often there are floodings happening or whatever kind of stuff. Okay, so that people can evaluate eventually, is this parcel good or is it not good? Okay, so this is a real world case here. Then, of course, you want to start simple. Your first version, okay, it might just include an interactive map, spatial data from a database, pop-ups and filtering, and of course, it should solve something real. Okay, this is the point actually. And when hiring people, see that you have done this. When you have done this yourself, you will be totally different, totally more, or your confidence will be like, hey, I can really create something real here. Okay, you can sit in front of them, telling literally and showing them off. Okay, like I have done this and I can do whatever you want. Okay, this is the target here. And then, okay, from your first version, you want to improve it step by step. Okay, you just want to make it work, want to make it run. Okay, and then by the end of the 90 days, you will have built your own WebGIS application from idea to deployment. Okay, something real, end to end, from start, from problem to solution for real people. Okay, so that experience is what truly turns you into a real WebGIS developer. Okay, a confident one. So if you want to help, or if you want some help building your WebGIS roadmap, of course, come either into the community. If for some reason you are not there yet, just type in school.com WebGIS. Then we have a cool classroom here. Start here, proven path to WebGIS, weekly trainings, cool workshops. And of course, if you want deeper help, if you want help defining your stack, choosing project, building your roadmap, you can book a free roadmap call with us still. And on the call, we will review your goals, define your WebGIS step, and design your personal learning roadmap. Okay, so that you get into freelancing, into the job that you actually want and start earning with this. So you can book your free roadmap call here, calendly.com, GIS terrain -info roadmap -call. Okay, so just pick a date there, and then we will see each other there. All right, thanks for your time.